Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome back to my channel. I'm Josh here to bring you a brand new video. But before I begin the video, I just want to say that on Tuesday, the 20th, I turned 35 years old. So I share kind of a special day for horror. A Nightmare on Elm Street came out 35 years ago on November 11th. It'll be 35. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, part 4, final chapter, came out the same year and tried to end Jason, which didn't really go so well because, we got 12 films later. But also, I thought a lot about this, like why they never took the idea from a book that came out with Friday the 13th. Like, for instance, there was a teen series of books for teenagers, and no, it wasn't watered down or anything, but it was Friday the 13th stories, and it involved a hockey mask and someone wearing it and becoming Jason-like. Kind of like what Roy, other than Roy was a copycat killer, but of course we didn't know it was Roy Burns. We always assumed it was Jason, and of course, Tom Majora, sorry if I butcher his last name, he was Jason. He was under the mask the whole time. It wasn't until the end when they needed somebody's face, and they had Roy Burns' face. The actor who played Roy Burns, was it 15 minutes into the film? But honestly, of course, a lot of people don't like the idea if you make a Friday the 13th film and not have Jason in it. Part 5 worked out. It didn't, disappoint people, but they were kind of shocked that it wasn't Jason at all. It was kind of a surprise. And then you have, Jason 6, which Jason Lives, where he comes back to life. And I often said, if you're going to remake something or at least reboot it, and I'm like, it's every 25 to 30 years we get a new film or remake, reboot, and it's imperative to remember that even though we, the original fans, from either you watched it when you were younger or waited until you're in your teens like I did. I watched some of the Friday the 13th films, but I was terrified of them, of course. Now I'm not scared of them, but the thing is, we got to remember that, it's like a lot of the other remakes that came out prior to this, like, for instance, The Fly. Now, I watched the original 50s Fly, and I laughed my butt off because it was just so hilariously bad. But it was still good. It's still a good movie. It's still a classic. And, people always say, oh, how can you love a remake? I love certain aspects of a remake. I don't have to love the entire film. I think it's good to go back and try to bring these characters back. But also, sometimes it's just best to leave them dead and gone unless you have a unique story output. But a lot of times I thought, why didn't they just take one of the novels that came out during that time and adopt it into a film? I think a lot of people would have been like, well, it's not Jason, so there's no point in watching this or something like that. But again, I wouldn't know because, I'm not a script writer or even a director. But if I was to make a Friday the 13th film, I would make it imperative and important to explain that while Jason's not actually in this film, and it's not just a copycat killer, and I think a lot of times the idea behind the idea that the mask is cursed itself, so anyone who wears it would become Jason themselves, or be possessed by Jason in a way, because Jason's supposedly dead and gone, and that's what the teen novels. I never got to read those novels. They're probably harder to track down. But yeah, a lot of people don't like remakes or the idea of remaking something, but it happens. And I've always said a remake is only as good as the people behind it, especially if it's a story or something. But a lot of times, it's just like, for instance, my biggest issue with Freddy vs. Jason was afraid of water. But then again, you got to remember, Freddy exploits your fears. So you got to understand that Freddy comes after you and what you're mostly afraid of, and he exploits it. So there's a lot of times fans don't like that idea. Because, like, if you watch part 4, part 6, part 7, Jason's in the water. Part 8, he comes out of the water. So, you think about it, he's been in the water more times than you really want to think about, like 4 times. And a lot of people, but Freddy vs. Jason exploits the fact that Jason's afraid of water. I would be afraid of water too if I nearly drowned. I mean, I'd be like, oh, I almost drowned, so I'm terrified of water. And that's a real fear. People who have a fear of water, a body of water. And there are stories out there where people said, yeah, I got over my fear of the body of water, and then all of a sudden something triggered it back, and I'm totally terrified of water, or they saw something that wasn't supposed to be there. Again, I would just have to say that, I love Friday the 13th. A lot of people tell me, because I went and supported the remakes, and by the way, we should always support the newest films, even if it's a remake. To me, it's part 12. I don't really care. It's part 12. It's just redone. And so what? Big deal. There's good remakes, and then there's bad remakes, or at least remakes that just don't really fit the narrative, but I still enjoy these movies for what they are, and I'm always happy when I hear, hey, there's a new film coming out. I'm going to go check it out. And there was a lot of times I didn't actually get to see these movies in theaters like other people did who were born between 1980 and were old enough to go see it, or even from the 70s, because, again, the original Friday the 13th was made June 13th, 1979, but it wasn't released until a year later. Alright, guys, I gotta go, but I'll talk to y'all later. I'll probably try to do a live stream, but my live streams are dying quickly. I get the no internet globe. So if you just like to hear our audio commentary on something, or just want to ask me a question while I'm live streaming, be my guest. Hit that like button if you're new to my channel. Subscribe for more content like this and other content that I'm creating currently. I love you guys. I will talk to y'all later.